Close your eyes, and now imagine that all too familiar moment. Walter White is sitting in the doctor's office. He just found out he has terminal cancer. He's broke, he's desperate, and he's incredibly proud. We all know the original story, the RV out in the desert, the blue meth, the cartels, the murders, and the bloody birth of Heisenberg. But what if I told you there's a universe where that famous Heisenberg pork pie hat was never worn? There is no beat-up RV in the desert. The blue crystal never hits the streets of Albuquerque. Walter White never becomes the terrifying kingpin of the criminal underworld. But do you know what the most chilling and horrifying part is? Walter White always had that massive, dark, and destructive power to ruin everyone in his life right from the very beginning, even without becoming a drug lord. Today, we are traveling to a dark parallel universe, one where that false pride was swallowed, but the devil woke up in a much sleeker, perfectly legal disguise. If you're ready for a psychological journey that will make sure you never watch Breaking Bad with the same innocence again, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel right now, because this story is heading to a much more ruthless place than you think. Let's begin. Season 1. Elliott and Gretchen's luxurious birthday party. Walter is facing his own failure inside that massive, flawless estate. Wealth is practically spilling out of his old friends. In the original timeline, Walter harshly rejected Gretchen's generous offer of financial help because of his own arrogance and massive ego. That refusal was the first giant domino that pushed him into the darkness of the underworld. But in this universe, things are different. Walter looks in the mirror. He coughs, he spits blood. He looks at his wife, Skylar's pregnant belly, at his son, Walter Jr.'s crutches. And in that exact moment, he chokes down his toxic pride. He takes a deep breath, closes his eyes, and turns to Gretchen, saying just one single word: yes. Yes, I accept your help. That one single word changes the fate of Albuquerque forever. His medical bills are paid by Gray Matter Technologies, quietly, in full, and completely legally. Walter doesn't live that dangerous, thrilling double life. He leaves the high school, goes to his chemo appointments, comes home, throws up, and sleeps. Skylar is incredibly relieved. There are no lies from her husband, no disappearing into the night. At home, there is just an ordinary, quiet, and slowly fading chemistry teacher fighting a brutal disease. But before we focus on Walter's mind and what's happening behind closed doors, let's take a look outside, at the streets. Because in a world where Heisenberg is never born, the butterfly effect ends certain lives much earlier and much more tragically. Take Jesse Pinkman, for example. Please, think about Jesse. In the original story, the person who kept him alive, who offered him a twisted kind of fatherhood, was Walter White. Walter saved him from Emilio, rescued him from Crazy 8, pulled him out of Tuco's savage violence. But in this universe, Walter isn't there. Jesse continues his amateur low-level drug operation with Emilio and Crazy 8. They are cooking cheap, ordinary street meth. Heisenberg's pure, flawless blue crystal never hits the market. Because of this, there is no revolution in the drug trade, no turf war over quality. Jesse is just trying to swim alone in those dangerous street-level waters. One day, Crazy 8 suspects Jesse's loyalty. There is no brilliant Mr. White around to protect them or set up genius booby traps. Jesse panics, guns are drawn, and Jesse Pinkman's story ends way too early in a cheap street shootout, maybe out in the middle of a deserted wasteland, without anyone even noticing. Nobody is looking for him. Nobody is going to war with a cartel for him. He just remains an unsolved ordinary homicide file collecting dust on the shelves of the APD. And what about Hank Schrader, that loud, cheerful, overconfident DEA agent, Hank? There is no blue meth on Hank's desk. There is no great white whale, no Heisenberg to chase after, to keep him up at night, to drag him all the way to El Paso. Hank just keeps busting ordinary corner boys and small-time gangs. He never becomes that legendary DEA agent. His career stagnates. He never gets that big promotion. He is never ambushed by the ruthless Salamanca twins. He is physically safe, yes, but mentally, he is bored, his potential entirely wasted, waiting for his retirement as an ordinary government employee. He grows old in his superficial life with Marie, secretly feeling like something massive is missing. Now, let's go back to where the real storm is brewing, Walter White's mind, because the real disaster starts exactly here. The chemotherapy is a success. Walter is slowly beating the aggressive cancer. His hair starts to grow back. The color returns to his face. He is healing physically, but his soul is rotting with a pitch black poison unlike anything we've ever seen. Why? Because gray matter paid the bills. In the name of friendship, Elliott offers Walter a job, a high-paying, executive-level position in the company's research and development department. Walter escapes that underfunded high school. He puts the lab coat back on, but he enters the billion-dollar company he co-founded, the company whose foundations he built with his own two hands as a mere employee. Every morning, as he walks into that massive glass-walled gray matter building, he looks at the founders' portraits on the wall. He sees Elliott's expensive Porsche in the lot. He watches Gretchen's elite, condescending smile. Walter is forced to call Elliott boss. During boardroom meetings, while ideas born from his own pure genius are discussed, he has to sit and watch Elliott have the final say with his mediocre intellect. That massive ego inside him, that overwhelming feeling of being cheated, grows every day, every hour, every single second. In the original show, the cancer transformed him. Here, every single moment of humiliation in this luxurious corporate office transforms him. And that dark monster inside Walter, his underground Heisenberg ego, slowly wakes up. He doesn't need to sell drugs. He doesn't need to resort to violence. The move he's about to make will be so cold-blooded, brilliant, and demonic that not even the most ruthless drug cartels could ever conceive it. You absolutely do not want to miss this horrifying mind-bending transformation. Right before we jump into the birth of the Corporate Heisenberg, if you enjoy these deep psychological scenarios and character analyses, right now is the perfect time to hit that subscribe button and like the video. Did you click it? Thanks for the support. Now, let's return to the cold, cutthroat corridors of gray matter. The darkness is beginning. Walter hacks into the company's massive database. He is no longer an ordinary researcher. He is a virus in the system. Like a cancer cell, he begins to grow silently right at the heart of gray matter. His intellect, that unmatched chemistry genius, is now working not just to bond molecules, but to connect corporate laws, patent loopholes, and contract clauses. Walter secretly starts working day and night on what will be the company's biggest, most revolutionary chemical breakthrough, but he doesn't do it on the company's servers. He does it in a small, dark, makeshift lab he set up in his own garage using nothing but pen and paper. He bypasses the system from the outside. He is rewriting the rules. At the same time, he is having secret dinners with the greedy, power-hungry investors on the board of directors. Through whispers, gossip, and petty manipulations, he makes them question Elliott's leadership. Elliott is driving the company into a corner, he tells them. Gretchen is making emotional decisions. Walter uses his words like poison darts. No blood is spilled, but souls are slowly dying. Walter is waiting for the day he can drop a massive patent on the table, a patent he registered entirely under his own name through a dummy corporation. This patent is a brand new chemical synthesis method, so powerful it will render all of gray matter's current technology obsolete and wipe them off the market. And the rights belong 100% to Walter. You remember that "I am the danger" monologue from the original series, right? I am the one who knocks. Here, he doesn't knock. He kicks the damn door down, but not with a gun in his hand, with hundreds of pages of legal documents. The day of the grand finale, the board meeting. There is dead silence around the massive, long, polished wooden table. Elliott is sweating. Gretchen's hands are shaking. The shareholders, the corporate lawyers, they are all there. And Walter White is standing right at the head of the table, wearing that thin, ice-cold smile. Walter throws the revolutionary patent into the center of the table. His condition is incredibly simple. Either they buy this patent for an astronomical price in exchange for the majority shares of the company, or Walter sells this technology to their biggest rivals, driving gray matter into absolute bankruptcy within a week. Elliott breaks down. How could you do this to us, Walt? We saved your life. We paid for your treatment. Walter slowly leans in toward Elliott. He looks him dead in the eyes with that empty, dark, pure Heisenberg stare. His voice is barely a whisper, but it hits with the weight of a thunderclap. You didn't save my life, Elliott. You just eased your own conscience. You stole my company. I merely lent it to you decades ago, and now I'm taking it back. Both of you are leaving this building immediately. The hostile takeover is complete. Walter White sits in the CEO chair. He is now a legal billionaire, the most respected, most powerful businessman in the city. He beat cancer. He destroyed his enemies. He took back his kingdom. He is at the top, the absolute peak. But the tragedy begins right here, at the summit. Walter, just like in that other universe where he became a drug lord, loses absolutely everything. Do you know why? Because absolute power completely unleashed that unloving, sociopathic, empathy-lacking monster inside him. Skylar is terrified of this new Walter. She sees how her husband ruthlessly, with blood-curdling pleasure, destroyed his old friends and threw them out on the street. The house feels like ice. Walter Jr. is disgusted by the cruel corporate raider portrait of his father in the Wall Street Journal. The family slowly, quietly falls apart. Skylar takes the kids and leaves. Because Walter's problem was never the cancer. Walter's problem wasn't a lack of money either. Walter's problem from the very beginning was his uncontrollable ego and his deep, dark intoxication with power. At the end of the video, we are in a massive, empty, freezing glass office. A high-rise overlooking the Albuquerque skyline. Walter White, wearing a custom multi-thousand-dollar suit, stands alone, looking down from that giant window. He has billions of dollars, but he is entirely alone. He never put on the Heisenberg hat. He never committed a single illegal act, but he still sold his soul, his family, and his humanity. The monster always finds a way out in every universe. Thank you so much for watching. I'm grateful you joined us to explore how Walter White's destiny, even if his choices change, drags him to the exact same tragedy because of who he is at his core. If you loved getting lost in this detailed analytical universe, hit that subscribe button right now and turn on the notification bell, because we are just getting started. But wait, don't go anywhere just yet. Forget everything now. Put this corporate world aside and let's go back to that original bloody timeline we all know, back to season 1. Do you remember Hank Schrader found out Walter was the infamous Heisenberg by pure coincidence at the very end of the series, from that book on the toilet? But what if that book was never there? What if Hank Schrader learned Walter's secret not in the final season, but way back in season 1, while tracing that high school gas mask he found in the desert, all because of a completely unexpected mistake? How would a weak amateur Walter, who is just starting out, enter a deadly game of cat and mouse with his brother-in-law? To see this entire mind-blowing, savage alternate universe, one where even the cartels get involved, click the video on your screen right now. The story gets much bloodier and much more ruthless over there. Click it and come to that dark desert with me. I'll see you there.